Hey everybody, Salt and Shine Only here, coming to you with thoughts for the weekend for this Friday, December 14th, 2012. Yeah, I know I haven't been around last few weeks. I've been out just a lot of different places, up in Northern California visiting family, and then out of town for Thanksgiving, and then I was in training out of town for a week for work, and then I was in New York and Philadelphia this past week for the Army-Navy game on Saturday. So all these situations, and really had no opportunity to not only make the video but then produce it and upload it. So pardon me, forgive me, hate me, whatever. So one of the things I missed last week was the unemployment report that came out last Friday. This is the unemployment report for November 2012, and surprisingly, hey, the unemployment rate dropped to 7.7%, which sounds like a good thing, because it went down, right? Yeah, you start digging into the numbers and you see that, okay, 7.7%. You look at the U6 number and you go, yeah, the U6 number dropped also down to 14.2 from 14.4% the month prior. But then you start digging into the numbers and start realizing, how do we get this unemployment rate down so much? Especially when you're looking at the same time last year, the unemployment rate was 8.7%, 1 full percentage point higher. So with it being 1 full percentage point lower, you're thinking, man, all these people are going back to work. How awesome is that? Barack Obama rocks. Until you dig deep into the numbers and you start realizing, oh, the only reason the unemployment has dropped 1 full percentage point in a year is because they've taken 2.5 million people and just yanked them out of the workforce. They no longer work. They don't want to work. They won't work. They're not workers anymore. Now, usually that makes up people that are, like stay-at-home moms who decide, you know what, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm going to stay home and work, take care of the kids. But there's just no way that 2.5 million, that's the situation, that's the story. We also saw increases year over year for the people that have to hold multiple jobs. Increases in people who have a full-time job that now have to get a part-time job. Increases in people that have to work 2 part-time jobs, because we all know that what's going to happen when the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, goes into effect this next year. A lot of companies that are above a certain number of employees are going to have to start providing health care unless all their employees are part-time. And so to meet the new part-time requirements, which is 32 hours a week, it's considered full-time. Anyway, a lot of companies, to protect themselves, they're just only giving people 28 hours per week. It's hard to take care of a family, or yourself for that matter, working 28 hours a week. So most of these people, part-time people, are finding they're going to have multiple jobs. As a person who's worked more than one job before, did it several times in my life, I've even considered doing it again recently, it's not easy. I understand the struggle and how difficult it is to juggle 2 different employers. Usually one employer is not happy the fact that you're working with another employer, because it always interferes. There's going to be times when one employer needs you to cover a shift and you can't because you're working a job at a second place because you need to try to earn some money to put some food on your table and pay your electric bill. Not many employers are sympathetic to that, and I understand that. It's difficult. As someone who tries to manage people, my wife deals with people that are trying to work flexible schedules and stuff, and it just is not optimum. There's always situations where people need time off for different things, and it's difficult because you're trying to run a business, you're trying to make money so that you can keep your business going, and it doesn't help when you don't have a steady workforce. So there's just many things like that play into these numbers on why it's not truly a good thing that our unemployment rate has dropped to 7.7 from 8.7 a year ago. You look into the numbers and you realize, well, they're just throwing people off the rolls. They don't even count them anymore. They just say, you know what, they don't exist. You've all been probably following the news, or inundated with the news regarding the fiscal cliff. You hear this all over the place. The fiscal cliff, there's like 15 days, 18 days, I don't know what it is, left to the fiscal cliff. This is the agreed upon date that if the government didn't decide on anything, goes back to the raising of the debt ceiling the last time, where they had the Simpson Bowles agreements and everything, and they've said that if they couldn't make an agreement, on how they were going to get the budget under control for the federal government, that by the end of this year, December 31st, if they hadn't reached any agreement, that there'd be automatic spending cuts across the board on the federal government, 10% I believe it was. And trust me, the scare taxes they're throwing out there are just ridiculous because they control where the money goes. They can always pull from other areas to keep certain critical programs that people need out there for their day-to-day living. They can keep those things running. The fiscal cliff thing, it's absolute smoke and mirrors. It's ridiculous that they're hyping this up, putting demagoguing this and fear-mongering it worse than weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. It's absolutely ridiculous. One of the things that's kind of I follow closely is when they start talking about loopholes and deductions, eliminating them, and it's like loopholes. It's like there's very few loopholes out there in the tax code created by this government. What they're calling loopholes a lot of times are legitimate deductions that the legislature has created. Most notably, the interest, mortgage interest deduction for your home, a home that they got everybody to buy into, buy the American dream, buy a home, low money down, great interest rates, go ahead, buy a home. Now that they got you to buy a home, they're talking about ripping away the mortgage interest deduction. One of the other ones that's causing a problem is deduction for charitable giving. This is kind of a big one also. So now they're talking about getting rid of both of these and reducing these. Cut the spending, cut the spending, cut the spending. There are so many programs out there that are bloat and waste that could be cut. Even defense. There's a lot in the Defense Department that could be cut. That's just wasted. Cut the spending. There was another fatal police shooting that happened in 2011 actually. But the story has gained attention yesterday especially because the video was released showing the shooting death of Ernesto Duenas Jr., who was a 34-year-old male who was shot by an officer with the Manteca Police Department. And Manteca is a town up in Northern California. It's to the southeast of Stockton, California. And I spent a portion of my childhood living in Manteca. Grew up in a couple different neighborhoods there, went to school there. This is in probably when I was between the ages of 4 and 9. And, I knew this area where this happened. It was a mile and a half from where I used to live. And it's kind of ironic when you think about things that happen close to you and, you hear things on the news. If they seem far away, you don't really pay attention. But this is one that actually hit in an area that, I was just through there 2 weeks ago. Drove right through there. And the question comes up on whether or not the police officer was justified. The San Joaquin County District Attorneys made a determination that it was justifiable, legally justified, in the manner in which the police officer shot and killed this man. The police had been staking out his place. They were waiting for him to come back home. He had been involved in a domestic dispute, and apparently abuse was alleged, and this looks like it was a violation of his parole. And so the police were just waiting for him to return home so they could arrest him. And they saw his truck pull into the driveway. They swooped in. The cops get out. You see him crawling from the driver's side of his vehicle, trying to get out the passenger side. And according to the police officers, he had something in his hand that resembled a knife. I know that, talking with law enforcement officers, I have a couple people in my family who are law enforcement officers. The thing they fear most, more than a gun, is a knife, because a knife can do so much damage to you within a short amount of time. It only takes seconds, not even seconds, less than a second to close the distance of 20 feet. And they don't even take a chance. Most cops will not take a chance with somebody if they have a knife and they're not willing to drop the knife, when commanded. If they keep moving towards the police, they're going to shoot. Now, it looks a little excessive that this cop fired off 13 rounds, hit the suspect 11 times. 4 of those times when the suspect was on the ground. You know how I feel about cops and brutality. This one's a little hard for me to call because knowing how a police officer's trained, and maybe it goes to the training is probably what the problem is, because I got a better solution, I'll get to that at the end. They're trained that when someone's coming at you, especially if they have a knife, you shoot until that person stops. If the person continues to move and continues to look like they're a threat to you, you keep shooting. That's where you get these situations where you end up where the cops shoot somebody, 15, 20, 30 times, and people say, isn't that excessive? It's their training. I see these guys when they train at the range I go to every week. Once a month they come in there and they do their training, the CHP or one of the local police departments. And it's pretty sad because they go and they train a couple times a year. They go into the range to shoot. They usually tape off the windows, try to tape off the windows of their booth, so that you can't watch what they're doing. And it's the same thing. They're with close range to the target. They'll push off, push back, pull their weapon, and shoot it as fast as they can into the target until they empty it. That's what they're being trained to do. Now, it's hard to tell in the video. You see the suspect get out. He looks like he's reaching into his shirt. Something's going on. He's obviously, you hear the cop yelling, get down, drop the knife, get down on the ground, get down on the ground. He doesn't do any of these things. I can't tell if he has a knife. They look like there's something in his hand. I can't tell if he drops it or not. He continues to move in the direction of the officer. The officer starts to shoot. He hits the ground. Looks like he's trying to get back up. I don't know. A little excessive, I think so. Here's my solution to that. They try to limit the amount of rounds that we can carry here in California to 10 rounds in a magazine. Cops can carry maximum load, as much as the gun can handle. Usually it's in the 15 to 18 rounds, depending on what they're carrying. I think it's time we limit the magazine size for law enforcement officers. See, they have all this high-tech training. They go through all this training on how to shoot people and kill them, put them down. So I think they don't need these big, massive magazines that'll hold 15 to 18 rounds. I think they should be limited to 5 rounds per magazine. I think that would, they can carry multiple magazines, but I think that would eliminate a lot of the question on excessive force. A civilian like me who doesn't get that kind of same training, who would just be trying to scare people, I should probably have a larger magazine capacity. That makes more sense because then I can shoot more warning shots to scare people away. I'm just saying that just makes more sense to me. But, is it excessive what this cop did? Probably. Was this one of his first altercations with somebody? It was somebody who was a known felon, aggravated assault, things like this that he's been arrested for, and he's coming at you with something that looks like a knife in his hand. You don't take a chance. I don't know. What would you do in that situation if somebody was coming at you with a knife? So, anyway, until we eliminate the police state that we're in, nothing's going to change. It's that time of year where Time Magazine releases their Person of the Year. Like we really care. Time Magazine's Person of the Year. But anyway, this will be released coming up on December 19th. Voting has been, public voting has been going on online. I guess I got on their Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you can vote, and their online system. And so far, the person with the most votes, Kim Jong the new premier leader supreme of North Korea, the one who just fired off that rocket, launched that satellite, whatever it is that's tumbling back to Earth, who's probably going to detonate another nuke here soon. Yeah, that guy. That's who people have voted for. 5.6 million votes he's gotten so far. So I think it's kind of funny that somebody who starves his people so he can try to launch missiles can be the Person of the Year in an American magazine. It's just absolutely amazing. But I don't know, as if that wasn't ridiculous enough, we've had those petitions on the White House website recently of the different states that want to secede peacefully from the Union, which is, of course, completely not the right way to go about it. It's not how it's done, but it's just kind of drawing awareness. So people have started using the petition site on the White House website because the White House says, hey, if we get 25,000 signatures, we'll address this. Whatever your concern is, we'll address it if you can get 25,000 people to sign off on it. Well, it looks like we have a new stimulus plan coming down the road because 25,000 people have signed off on the petition asking the government, and I quote, "By focusing our defense resources into a space superiority platform and weapon systems such as the Death Star, the government can spur job growth creation in the fields of construction, engineering, space exploration, and more, and strengthen our national defense." Yes, there is a petition to build a Death Star. We are so freaking doomed, people. Anyway, this has gone on long enough. I decided to come to you this morning from the dining room of my house, just because I thought it would be a little bit nicer of an atmosphere than the office. I'm going a little bit late today, but why not do it here? A little bit more festive, a little bit more cheery, the Christmas season. I hope you're all getting ready. I hope you're all preparing. Nothing says season's greetings more than a bug out bag to the loved one in your life, or maybe some dry food in the stockings, and those things are great stocking stuffers. Nice and light too. So anyway, focus on the things that are important in your life. Don't worry about all the bull crap going on in the news. There's so much of it. It's unbelievable. Don't be scared about the fiscal cliff and what might happen. It's just going to be situation normal. You know the rest. The government's in charge, right? So what do you want? I say go off the cliff. Drive it in straight to the ditch. Explode this thing. Let's burn it down so we can rebuild it. The sooner we get started, the better we'll be. Of course, we got to make it past the 21st. That is coming up. I hope you're ready. I'm trying to be ready. We'll see if there's a thoughts for the weekend next week. I don't know. We may not make it that far. So that's all I've got for this week. All the stories and everything's attached below, linked below. Please comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, share, whatever you want to do. Let me know how much you hate me. I welcome that. And that's all I've got. So y'all take care this weekend. SOS out.